Hello and welcome. Today we're going to look at 5 small but super common English mistakes. The kind of things that can make a huge difference in how you sound. Honestly, fixing these little details is probably one of the fastest ways to boost your confidence and just make your English feel way more natural.
You know that feeling, right? You're in the middle of a conversation and you just get this little nagging sense that something you said wasn't quite right. Well, today we're going to clear all that up. We're going to walk through 5 incredibly simple fixes that will help your English flow so much more smoothly.
All right, let's jump right into our first fix. Now, this is a mistake I hear all the time, especially when people are getting really excited, telling great stories about their travels and experiences. So let me ask you, does this sentence make sense? Yeah, absolutely. A native speaker will know exactly what you're trying to say. But, and this is a big but, it's not what they would say. It's one of those tiny little clues that kind of signals you're still learning. So the whole thing boils down to this one tiny preposition. We just swap out in for to. I know it seems like such a small change, but trust me, it makes all the difference in sounding natural when you're asking about someone's travel history. And here's the simple reason why. To suggests the action of going somewhere. The journey or the visit itself. So you'd say, have you ever been to Italy? Or have you ever been to Istanbul? It's a super easy rule to remember for pretty much any location you've traveled to. Ready for number 2? Awesome. This next one moves on from places to people. It's all about relationships. And yep, it involves another one of those tricky little prepositions. This is a question you see a lot, especially online in social media comments. And again, we totally get what you mean, but it's just not quite the right way to phrase it. So here's the easy fix. We don't get married with someone, we get married to them. So the correct way to ask would be, are you married to Will? It might feel a little formal at first, but that's just the standard, natural way to say it. Now, part of the confusion here is because the phrase married with actually does exist in English, but it means something totally different. It means you're married and you have something else. For example, if you say, I am married with kids, that means I am married and I also have kids. See the difference there? Okay, let's get into number 3. This one's a big one, and it's all about how we talk about time, specifically how long something has been going on. I hear this one from students all the time, and you know what? It's perfectly understandable. Nobody's going to get confused by this, but it's an instant little flag that we can fix so easily. So the key is just remembering the difference between since and for. You use since when you're talking about a specific starting point in time, like since 2016, but you use for when you're talking about a period or a duration of time, like for 2 years. It's also good to know that during doesn't really work here either. So the correct sentence is, I've been learning English for 2 years. Simple. All right, let's switch gears for our 4th point. This one is less about pure grammar and more about cultural norms, especially what you'd see in the UK and the US. Now, in so many cultures, calling your instructor teacher followed by their first name is a huge sign of respect, and honestly, it's really sweet. The thing is, though, it's something you just never ever hear in the UK or the US. So even though it's meant as a sign of respect, it just sounds a little out of place in the UK or the US. Let's take a look at how they typically do it instead. And here's your handy guide. In more formal schools, it's usually a title like Mr. or Ms. plus the last name. At a university, you'll probably use professor or doctor. But in more informal places, like a language school, just using their first name is almost always the way to go. All right, we are at our 5th and final point. This is a super common one for students, especially when you're in a class and you need something explained. I absolutely love when students ask for help, but this sentence structure is a classic little mix-up. The word order is just a bit jumbled. Here is the fix. Remember this little formula? You explain something to someone. So the thing you want explained comes right after the verb. For example, can you explain this to me? Or can you explain the grammar to me? But wait, there is a really cool, pretty advanced exception to this rule. Imagine for a second that you're talking to a therapist, right? And you feel totally confused about who you are. You could actually say this. And here's why it works. In this very specific, kind of deep context, me is the object. You are the mystery that needs explaining. It's definitely an advanced tip, but it's such a fascinating little quirk of the English language.
So let's do a quick recap with a checklist, okay? You've been to a place, you're married to a person, you've been learning English for a few years, you call your teacher by their title or first name, and you ask them to explain something to you. Got it?
And remember, this is not about being perfect. It's really about mastering these little details that take your English from just being understood to sounding truly natural and confident. Every little fix is a huge step forward. So, I have a question for you. Which one of these 5 simple fixes are you going to start using today? Just pick one, practice it, and I promise you'll be amazed at how quickly it becomes a totally natural part of how you speak.